the most important meal of the day. Something simple yet hearty to keep your tummy full should be on the menu. This make-ahead dish certainly makes those mornings a bit easier since it's ready to go right in the frying pan come the AM. Welcome to the Backwoods Kitchen. I'm your host, Holly Venison, and today I'll be making an example of simple breakfast fare, cornmeal breakfast cakes. This recipe demonstrates how settlers adapted to indigenous foodways using cornmeal and bacterial leavening agents, also known as barm, leaven, or starter. Bacterial starters were used to leaven bread and bread products and add a distinct sour flavor to these pancakes. Using cornmeal as the primary grain instead of flour would have meant using a very accessible and affordable ingredient. In the last episode on corn, I discussed how settlers responded to the changing gendered roles associated with this crop. Today's episode will focus more on corn's role in indigenous agriculture. Faunal evidence suggests that the Three Sisters planting system was adopted around 1070 AD and was the dominant food plant associated with every nation practicing agriculture in the northeast USA, Quebec, and Ontario, with at least 15 nations across the northeastern US and southeastern Canada. There are two reasons the plants worked well when planted together. One reason is taught through story, while the other is taught through biology. The stories of the Three Sisters are varied. Unlike the typical settler association with corn and masculinity, these crops are all personified as women and family in many traditional stories. Many of the lessons that can be learned from the Three Sisters story relate to individuality, community, reciprocity, transformation, and the sharing of gifts. As the stories vary from nation to nation, I'd encourage you to learn more about the stories and teachings specific to your area. Biologically, the plants rely on each other by sharing nutrients and structural support. The corn becomes a beanstalk for the beans, and the leaves of the rough stems of the squash protect the plants from animals and shield the soil to aid in water retention. The root systems produce nitrogen, which fertilizes the soil and produces a stronger crop. Furthermore, the methods of preparing and preserving corn used by settlers in this time period were all derived from indigenous techniques from both North and South America. The production of cornmeal was derived from drying cobs and then grinding the kernels into meal. Nixtamalization was another preservation method that originated in South America, but the technique spread widely. It involved processing dried corn kernels in an alkaline solution, which made it ideal for producing food items such as masa, or rehydrating later in soups or other meals. Both of these techniques are still used today. Comparing the two corn episodes side by side reveals inherent tensions in worldview through the lens of settler-indigenous relationships. From a gendered angle, we can see how European women tended to avoid planting and associated this type of labor with masculinization, being that the more they performed the task, the more they felt separated from their understanding of gendered expectations. Teachings about the Three Sisters, on the other hand, firmly center femininity at the core of the stories, with corn, beans, and squash all being personified as women, or in some stories, they even sprung forth from a woman's body. In this role, they are able to be teachers, community members, and gift givers. I'm eager to see how these two food cultures have blended in today's recipe. Using cornmeal as the base and starter to give it body, it's time for our taste test. So the batter's set overnight, and now it is breakfast time, so I'm gonna give it a try. So it's really good with the maple syrup. I think if you have some, add some. And yeah, you can really taste the flavor of the sourdough starter coming through. At this point in time, you could have had hops rising starter, potato starch, like there's a lot of different things that could rise bread. I have sourdough in real life, so I just used my starter. But if you cook a sourdough starter, this might be a really interesting recipe to try. And you set it overnight, and like I said before, you just put it on for breakfast right in the morning and you're good to go. So until next time.